Our next presentation is Rocket Pharmaceuticals, and I'd like to welcome Kinari Patel, President, Head of R&D, and Chief Operations Officer, to the stage.
Hi, good afternoon. I hope you guys are all awake after lunch in a very warm area. It is a pleasure for me to be here because I'm a huge fan of the ARM organization, how we bring scientists, collaborators, CDMOs, and other companies and innovators together. What I want to tell you is a little bit about Rocket Pharmaceuticals. We started about 9 years ago as a company seeking gene therapy cures, a lofty dream, but we've come a long way and I'd love to share that with you. Disclaimers. So our mission is kind of simple, seeking gene therapy cures. Every single person at Rocket talks about that. Our partners, our academic investigators talk about that. How do we do that? Well, we focus on the disease that have the biggest unmet medical need. We try to be first, if not first, the best-in-class therapy. And a lot of the diseases I'm going to go over, we are the first and only ones that are actually developing therapies for these diseases. But before I get started with Rocket Pharmaceuticals, I want to tell you a little bit about the culture. Rocket is all about our passion for improving patient lives. It's about our team, and it's about our values to guide us through the mission of bringing these therapies to patients anywhere they need them in the world. Volume. Sorry, I think we need volume. If I go back.
Our DNA is the blueprint of who we are, shaping our destiny. But for about 240 million people around the world, a gene not working properly within their DNA could be causing a rare and potentially life-threatening disease. After decades of research from leading scientists and clinicians around the world, a genetic revolution is underway. The goal? Delivering working copies of the faulty gene to the body to correct the disease at its root cause. This groundbreaking area of research is called gene therapy and has achieved remarkable progress. In fact, there are currently over 30 gene therapies approved in certain countries around the world. Rocket Pharma is at the forefront of this genetic revolution as we strive to redefine the future of medicine. We are harnessing proven gene therapy technologies to develop potentially transformative treatments for patients living with genetic diseases. With the patients as our North Star and inspiration, our team is guided by 4 core values that are embedded within everything we do: trust, generosity, curiosity, and elevate. Rocket is powered by a team with decades of experience bringing therapies to patients. We foster a deep understanding of each disease in order to develop potential gene therapies for conditions where patients have limited or no treatment options. In close partnership with the patient, medical, and scientific communities, we strive to ensure patient access and will create the blueprints to develop treatments for more diseases. We are collaborating with the world's leading minds to develop and apply cutting-edge gene therapy science to rare bone marrow and cardiovascular diseases. We are relentless in pursuit of our mission to seek gene therapy cures for patients with rare and devastating diseases. Cures that may represent freedom for patients and their loved ones so that they may live without the burden of having a genetic disease. We are in pursuit of a world where DNA is no longer destiny and genetic diseases are history.
So our tagline is DNA is no longer your destiny. And a lot of the kids you see in the pictures here have been treated by Rocket therapies. And it's great to meet them, but it's also great to meet them and know their drug product and their VCNs and how they're doing from lab work. And that's the intimate collaboration that we have with our communities and our patients. What we did when we started Rocket Pharmaceutical was answering a simple question: what is the unmet medical need out there? We looked at over 7,000 rare diseases and we said, okay, the current technology that exists, thanks to Avexis's earlier work, the work that was done with Kymriah and CHOP and all of the Novartis and et cetera, and Bluebird's work. We said, okay, ex vivo lenti, we've seen it works in human. We've seen AAV gene therapy works in human. So what are the diseases that can work and we can apply these technologies as drug developers and actually make a difference in patient lives. With that search, we started going through poster presentations at European Society of Cell and Gene Therapy and every conference, and ended up dwindling down to diseases that have three things: a huge unmet medical need, meaning no treatment option was available. Only option was, if they were lucky, they would get a transplant, a bone marrow transplant or a heart transplant. Second, do they have a monogenic disease? So could we just replace the missing or dysfunctional gene? And that's what we thought about. And third, are there scientists that are working on this brilliant idea for the last 10, 20 years, and they have great posters and preclinical data, and could we make them into drugs that can make a difference in human lives? So with that, we started the company focusing to what's near and dear to my heart is working on kids. What was beautiful about Rocket is we followed the science. It wasn't about what is the biggest market. It's about science making a difference in patient lives, and kids are not an afterthought, since unfortunately 3 out of 10 kids that have a rare disease don't even make it to the 5th birthday. So with that, we use the two platforms. As you guys know the platforms really well, ex vivo lenti. Ex vivo lenti is where you actually take the patient's cells, put the corrected gene, and give it back to them. So it's almost, I guess I would call it an individualized medications. And a lot of our bone marrow-derived diseases are using ex vivo lenti technology. This technology, when we started the company, is the basis of the formation of the company. And at that time, we found CDMOs that were commercial-grade CDMOs that had gone through both FDA and EMA inspections. So partnered with them in order to really manufacture them, so the first patient onwards could get the highest quality product from day one. If it was your loved one, what kind of product would you want to give them? We didn't want to worry about comparability, tech transfers, et cetera. So where feasible, we did that. In vivo platform, which is the AAV technology, we use that for our heart diseases. And what's really great about that is our first disease that we worked on, heart disease, we were able to manufacture with our CDMOs, and a lot of beautiful work that took place. And we realized to really treat 15,000 to 30,000 patients, if we're successful, we're gonna have to bring this in-house and do it in a more cost-efficient way, timeline-efficient way. So that is something that we do have in-house now. Our pipeline is of 6 programs that are publicly disclosed. I have to tell you, it's like an iceberg. We have even more products behind it that hopefully will eventually get to the clinic, and every time we get a new IND, we publicly disclose that product. The 3 products that are the lenti are the most advanced in a sense that Kresladi is under review with FDA. We do hope to get that approved by the year end. Fanconi anemia is under review with the EMA, and it's going through submission and approval processes, so hopefully we'll get that approved across the 2 regions next year. And then we have PKD, that is being developed in a phase 2 pivotal study. On the flip side, our AAV gene therapy programs, we have Danon disease. Danon disease, I'll go into a little more detail because it is very cool, and it was a proof of concept for us to show industry and scientists and ourselves, first and foremost, that gene therapy could work for heart disease. Based on the learnings of that, we actually developed a pipeline, and we looked at other cardiac diseases because patients came up saying, what about our disease? What about this mutation? So we have a PKP2 program that's also in the clinic. It impacts north of 50,000 patients in the US and Europe. And we have BAG3 program that we were able to get through an acquisition of another company called Renovacort that wasn't doing well about a year and a half ago. So through those assets, we have 3 cardiovascular gene therapy programs. And as you notice, we have all the wonderful designations on our late-stage programs from PRIME to RMAT, which allows us to constantly have conversations with health authority along with patients to do the right thing from day one and seek as many guidances as we can across the board and harmonize our development. So Danon disease, this is a huge unmet medical need. It's a complicated disease on the one hand because the male population and female population are actually impacted slightly differently. For this disease, what happens is, unfortunately, the boys, they end up passing away by the age of 19 or 20 unless they have a heart transplant. Unfortunately, even if they are lucky enough to find a heart transplant, GVHD and all of these things happen, and the survival is not that high. In the females, they tend to live a little bit longer. It's all relative. Unfortunately, they pass away by the age of 35. So if you think about cardiovascular diseases, that is still severe unmet medical need. So what we did is we said, okay, what is the biggest unmet medical need? Where is the urgency of treatment? That's with the boys. So let's go and actually work on treating the young boys. And we were able to work on a study design with FDA in mind and US first and foremost, and treated 7 patients. 6 patients were evaluable patients that we followed through. And as you see, this is, we call it the green slide. Red would designate that the patients have gotten worse over time. Light green means they've stayed stable, and dark green means they've improved. What we show here is whether a patient is 6 months out or 3 years out, and this is a bit of an outdated data. We'll have more updates coming up later this year. What you see here is every single patient, not only were we able to restore the LAMP2 gene that was missing, and we saw that through their biopsies that we did, but we were able to see a difference in cardiovascular biomarkers, troponin, BNPs, et cetera. And what was most incredible to me as a pharmacist, right, when we talk about quality of life measures in 20 years of drug development, you might say, hey, there's a placebo effect. Maybe 5 points are the most that a drug could actually improve. What you see here is significant. On average, 25 points KCCQ was the delta difference between baseline and later. And this was beautiful data and the clear benefit risk based on these limited number of patients, but the magnitude of data and consistency of it led to us having interactions with both FDA and EMA. And based on their feedback, we were able to design a very efficient program, which is our phase 2 pivotal study. This phase 2 pivotal study, we have it going in both US, Europe, and of course MHRA, given the Brexit situation. It's N of 12 patients. These 12 patients need to be followed for 12 months in order to see a change from a biomarker perspective, meaning at their height biopsy, LAMP2 gene is what's missing. Can we see some restoration of LAMP2 gene in the heart biopsies? That's one. And two, in partnership with that, do we see the heart decrease in size? What is their LVMI index? Why is the heart decrease in size important? Well, Danon disease is disease of the biggest hearts in the world. These patients have thick hearts. And so decreasing the LVMI actually allows them to have a better clinical outcome. So this study, what was great about it is in partnership with FDA and EMA, they said, hey, instead of worrying about accelerated approval pathway for 1 year, let's use the same patients followed out to 5 years, and you can actually use the same 12 patients followed that long in order to convert the same study to a confirmatory study and get a full approval. So this is our one study to get the drug approved, accelerated approval, and if the patients do as well as phase 1, then we can follow them longer to convert it to full approval. And based on that, what did we do? Well, we said, okay, now we're in a pivotal stages. What can we learn from other programs that we had in late stage development apply to that? Our program, Fanconi anemia, was the basis that the company was started on. PKD, LAD1, and Fanconi was the basis of it. These are more later stage programs. Fanc is interesting because while it impacts 5,500 to 7,000 patients in US and Europe, a lot less than Danon, what we saw is the biology of the disease was so complicated. Gene therapy had been tried for over 20 plus years. And we saw that without use of any conditioning regimen, we could actually give gene therapy to these patients, and over time, mosaicism and selective advantage happen of the corrected gene over uncorrected gene, and that has led to this program being under the review with EMA, and it's going under review with FDA. Then LAD1. Kresladi is the product that is our first product, hopefully to get commercially approved this year. We're excited because every patient that's ever gotten treated, I'm a healthcare provider, I've never seen a USPI or drug label where there's 100% survival, 100% efficacy in every single parameter. We've seen these kids not only live past the age of 2, where 2/3 of them die by the age of 2, but they're thriving and living a normal life, just like the 3 kids you see here. So we can't wait to get this approved. And how do we do that? Whether it's Fanconi or Danon disease, what is the challenge that Rocket's working on, regardless of the disease? We're working on genetic testing. This is so critical. If you can't get the patient diagnosed early enough, how do you give them therapy to actually change their life? So we're working with experts in the field in order to enable genetic testing early as possible. My wish is gene therapy is not just one and done curative treatment, but it's a preventive treatment. If somebody's born with the missing LAMP2 gene, why can't we give them that gene therapy so they don't have all the comorbidities that go with the disease? Why wait till they're too severe? And some of the things could be reversed, some may not be reversed. Why wait for that question to be answered? So we're partnering with various organizations, but our focus is really genetic testing and getting rapid diagnosis, so it doesn't take 7 years for a kid to be diagnosed. As I said in the beginning, unfortunately 3 out of 10 kids don't even make it to the age of 5. So let's get that diagnosis going. We're working with different organizations to get ICD-10 codes put together for diseases like Danon disease and Fanconi, so we can actually find where these patients are, centers of excellence, and actually change the trajectory of these diseases. And our point is really simple. these 6 programs I went through are just a starting point. I think the promise of gene therapy is a lot bigger, and I can't wait to have organizations that are in this room work on their own companies and their science and platform collaboratively in order to really change the trajectory of human health care. So at this point, we're working with Invitae, Reddy's, but we're willing to work with everyone, including government agencies, and hopefully we can change some regulations to make genetic testing available, and we want to change everyone's life. Our goal is each of one of those stars on the wall that we have at Rocket when you enter our R&D facility in Cranberry, New Jersey, is a patient we've treated. And so I would love to have the entire building of Rocket covered with all these stars with different colors. And I hope you can help making this dream not just a hope for patients, but a reality for everyone around you. Thank you.